Hey there, everybody. This is Magnum Pi. I'm here with Teku, Golgotha, and Vahilo. Dark Templar could not join us, and because of that, we're going to actually do... Well, because of that, and because there's some downtime that has to occur for the characters to level up, we're going to do a episode that isn't the adventure. So if you came looking for more adventure, maybe this episode isn't for you. But if you came to hear our perspective on playing this game, because it's new to all of us, this is what this episode is going to be about. It's going to be a player's perspective on our particular game that we're playing right now. So, gentlemen, how are we doing?
It's had the day off today, which is nice.
Pretty well overall, I think.
It is great.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Love time off.
Weather is starting to get nippy. At least here.
Yeah.
Really?
Buddy, it's gonna go up like 20 degrees tomorrow.
To 20.
It's maybe 30 here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a friend in Toronto. She posted what it was the temperature yesterday. It was like plus 30, and oh well, here it's 12.
Yeah, well, it was below zero this morning.
Speaking of Toronto, don't know when this is going to air, but let's go Blue Jays.
Yeah.
For all of us sports fans out there.
Yeah.
2-0.
Cheer on that local sporting team.
Because that's what, the Eastern final?
It's the American League Division Series right now.
American League, that's what it is.
So they're, yeah.
Well, it's different now because they play Detroit or they'll play Cleveland or
they'll play the winner of Detroit or Seattle.
Or Detroit, Seattle, right.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
I'm for Detroit.
Yeah.
Toronto to Detroit would be awesome.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I remember as a kid watching those games, and it was always a nice rivalry.
Yeah, not too far away from each other. Yeah, that'd be good. Cool. All right.
And who doesn't like to see the Yankees lose?
Well,
Except if you're from New York, in which case I sympathize with you.
If you don't like the Yankees, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Comment below.
And if you like the Yankees,
if you do like the Yankees, subscribe for spite.
That's right.
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. For any reason, just subscribe. It's always cool to bring out the end of. Well, is it 2 sports that end in the fall, or is it 2 sports that end in the winter? I can't remember what it is.
Two sports end in the spring. We got basketball and
maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I'm not a sports guy, so I don't follow.
But October's the best time for sports because you have Canadian football, NFL, college football. You have baseball playoffs, hockey, basketball, like just all the things.
All the things.
It's awesome.
And D&D, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Look at that segue. Look at it go. All right. So, So we've been playing this game now for a little while. You guys, your characters have just got to level 3, which means you are moderately survivable. So just, I don't know, what do we think so far? I mean, it's been a struggle, that's for sure.
Yeah. So after one game session, after we stopped recording, I may potentially have had a minor temper tantrum.
Is that when we were attacked by bees?
Yeah.
It was earlier than that.
I think we all had a temper tantrum after we were attacked by bees.
I was going to say, which temper tantrum, because I've had a few. I think the one I'm thinking about was after the bees, though, because I got just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how is this happening? How can we not fight bees? How are we getting our ass kicked by bees?
Have you ever tried to fight bees?
I have, but that's another point. Neither here nor there. No,
Can I pick up one of those big electrical tennis rackets?
That's right.
They have those at the market in wherever we are.
That's right. Yes, of course.
Daggerford Home Depot.
I think for me, the frustration has been our roles have just not been cooperative, and it's been a slog.
It has. I agree on both counts. Your roles, I've tested things out because I was worried. I was concerned that I wasn't doing things right. And I probably have messed up a few things. For those of you out there who know D&D, AD&D like the back of your hand, I'm sure there have been many a facepalm when you're like, Magnum, why are you doing that? That's not how that works. But, for the most part, I was worried that for the most part I was doing it wrong. And so I kind of did some tests and no, you guys just suck. at rolling. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Like anytime
Yeah,
there's
don't
been an
limit it. important
important role, it's just been duffed. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if AD&D is far too hinged upon the rolls, or if it is that I'm calling for rolls too frequently. But I think I'm only really calling for rolls during combat. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're calling for too often. Like I said, I mean, it's particularly with we're in combat, right? So if we're in combat, you're going to roll. I mean, it's kind of the mechanisms we use to determine if we hit anything, and we just aren't hitting anything.
Yeah. Other thoughts? Teku, Vahila?
I mean, looking at the system, I will draw a comparison to music. Okay? By that I mean, you don't necessarily have to like older forms of music. But it is kind of important to recognize the value in terms of like the progression of the craft. And D&D, as far as RPGs go, follow that same trend. You might not have to like AD&D. You might not have to like even just first edition D&D. But you do have to appreciate it was a step in the path that got us to where we are now.
Very true.
Whether or not you prefer modern over such traditional is a question of taste, and that's all well and fine. In much the same way you might prefer tradition over current.
Yeah.
This is very much a to each their own, but there are differences, and it's important to recognize that. This is more in line with the war games that this would have been drawn from, as opposed to something more modern. At least that's my experience on the thing so far.
Well, what I've noticed, I mean, and you know, this is how we all started together. The games we started playing together were very story-based games, right? We were playing Chronicles of Darkness and Numenera and some 5th edition AD&D, which is all very story-focused now, right? It's all about make your character, and your character has this personality and a backstory and, you know, deeply entrenched in you. You get rewarded for playing and doing the things that your character would do, particularly in Chronicles of Darkness, where your whole backstory determines your morality and all sorts of stuff like that. This game is very much not about that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's not about the story so much. And actually the adventure that we're playing in, which is under Illifarn, which is one of the, they call them the novice adventures. It's the very first adventure published for the Forgotten Realms. And it is for levels 0 to 3. If you can believe that. And
Oh, I could believe it. It's just their dice probably had 20s on them when they rolled them.
possibly, but it's also just that I think it was published at a time when AD&D was making the shift from first edition to second edition. And second edition, and Golgi backed me up on this one, was much more focused on heroic fantasy, I think.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Like, you were the hero, and you and your party were going to fight evil and bad things.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that. When I was in university, yeah, second edition was the first gaming system I played for D&D anyways. And yeah, I do recall, creating characters that it was story based, seemed more story based. In fact, I think the very first gaming, AD&D second edition campaign was in Ravenloft that we played in. So that certainly skews your understanding of the system as well.
Yeah, for sure. And Ravenloft, people will argue that Ravenloft and Dragonlance are what took AD&D from its original roots as the kind of sword and sorcery sort of adventure, like Conan and Elric and those kind, and shifted it into that kind of 90s storytelling tabletop role-playing game. And that shift, I think, happened probably around when this adventure was published, because it's very much, looking at it, it's trying to be a story, but then there's still dungeon, which you guys haven't encountered yet, but there's still dungeon. And but it's not doing story very well, because a lot of it is like, if your characters choose to go this way, you have to make them go the other way. It's like you must railroad your party to make them go here, otherwise the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, I've noticed that a couple of times where it's like, there was a point where we had the NPC that we were in the process of helping, the NPCs that had been helping us to this point, and even the grass in the field all turn on us at once. It's like, no, you couldn't possibly do that.
Yeah, questioning your manhood and stuff. Like, fine, we'll do it. Fuck. I know where this is going.
You did what was asked of you? We're going to brand you a traitor. Oh, all right, done.
Yeah, it was.
God damn it.
And in my defense,
there was like 6 HP across 4 people. We will do this, I guess.
I was going to say, though, Magnum, this isn't exactly the first time you've railroaded characters into doing something. Now, is it?
Well, there was a time a long time ago when hours of preparation was about to be undone because somebody just decided, nah, I don't want to do that. Like,
so you gave him a flat tire and said, nope, you got to stay. You can't leave.
That's right. It was like, I got nothing for the whole night. You can't do this to me. Yeah. In my defense, that was a story that was supposed to unfold, but
and it did. It unfolded.
Yeah, it did. It actually was a pretty disturbing story, if I recall.
Oh yeah, that was actually my memory of that game. It was World of Darkness. It was probably the one that sticks in my mind the most, and I'm still disturbed by it, like genuinely disturbed by it.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the evil things weren't even monsters, really. That was what really made it scary, in my opinion. But yeah, I try really hard not to railroad. I really try to give
you do.
the freedom of choice. And in Rifts, I mean, you guys kind of went all over the place. Like, I was like, wow, where are you going now? What are you doing now? Yeah. So it was hard to keep up with you guys sometimes, which we'll have to get back to that game eventually. But I think Rifts, like Palladium, so Kevin Sembida's game system, which he basically based on Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, was his attempt at making it more about telling a story, right? If you look at interviews with him and stuff like that, he's very much into storytelling and character development and things like that. And when you look at the Palladium experience system, you can see that their intention is that you are a hero, and this is the story, and you're supposed to do heroic things, right? Like, and when you do that, you get experience. Whereas in AD&D, you are a money-grubbing adventurer that's off to go loot the depths of the ancients, right?
You're a specific
damn right
class in that group. You're a wizard who wizards wizardly, and if you're not, you're a bad wizard, and you're penalized.
Yeah.
I think that's my struggle with the alignment, because my idea of being good, like chaotic good, does not necessarily reflect what chaotic good is in the game, really, does it?
Well, that's a very good point. What's your impression of chaotic good?
So when I think of chaotic good, so I don't. Magnum will remember this series. You remember, the old Robin Hood that was on PBS, with Clanadad, the song, really kind of mystical kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who played Will Scarlet, I think of him as chaotic good.
I'd agree. Yeah, Will Scarlet was chaotic good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So describe that for people that don't know him, though.
Okay.
Everybody else that's listening may not have seen that.
Okay. So my idea.
May not have seen that.
That's right. The other people that are part of the game don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, not even a clue. But yeah. So my vision, my idea of this is that somebody who values, and this is true. I think we discussed this as well. Somebody who values freedom, but is somebody also who looks out for others as well, and is willing to break the law if it means helping people. Am I off on that?
No, I think that tracks. Okay. I mean, let's take a look.
Okay.
Here's our alignment stuff, right? Hello, alignment.
And also bad-tempered. I want to be bad-tempered too, but I can't be bad-tempered yet. got to work on that.
But there's chaotic good there, right? Creatures of this alignment view freedom and the randomness of action as the ultimate truths. They likewise place value on life and welfare of each individual. Respect for individualism is also great. By promoting the gods of chaotic good, characters of this alignment seek to spread their values through the world. To chaotic good, individual freedom and independence are as important to life as happiness. Are as important to life. Yeah, that should say as happiness. The ethos views this freedom as the only means by which a creature can achieve true satisfaction and happiness. Law, order, social forms, and anything else which tends to restrict or abridge individual freedom is wrong. And each individual is capable of achieving self-realization and prosperity through himself, herself, or itself. So that kind of fits.
Okay.
So where do you find the disconnect, I guess?
I think it's in, I don't know, maybe it's in like what I think of, and again, it's the way it's structured, I guess, the game. It's the kind of greed that accompanies it. But again, it's also tricky because I play a character class that's inherently not greedy.
Yeah, you can't own more than you can carry, pretty much.
Yeah.
You're greedy to a fixed numerical point, and then after that, it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and then give it to the church.
Yeah, I think you have to think of it as unlike Catan, Jen is about essentially meeting his needs by adventuring, whereas I think Catan is more interested in accumulating wealth. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vahilo.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like I kind of look at mine and I'm like, not to kind of pull this away, but when I was looking at like, okay, chaotic neutral, what does that mean? I'm like, okay, in movies I've seen and stuff that I've read, watched, whatever, who are chaotic neutral characters, right? Looking at, okay, well, if I'm chaotic neutral, what type of characters do I have to try and emulate? Right? What does that look like? So, like, I'm looking at stuff like, Han Solo or Loki from the Marvel Universe, where it's just, I'm going to do the things that benefit me. I'm going to say what I need to say at a given time.
Yeah.
And yeah, if there's an opportunity to put myself ahead of everybody else, I'm going to do it. And then later on, if helping my team serves my best interest, then yeah, I'll help my team at that point.
Yeah, I would say kind of Han Solo at the beginning of episode 4. That's probably more like the Han Solo that is chaotic neutral. I'd say Loki is evil, though. He's willing to see the demise of other people in order for him to get what he wants. So if we take a look at chaotic neutral, right, above respect for life and good or disregard for life and promotion of evil, the chaotic neutral places randomness and disorder, right? Good and evil are complementary balance in arms. Neither are preferred, nor must either prevail, for ultimate chaos would then suffer. This view of the cosmos holds that absolute freedom is necessary. Whether the individual exercising such freedom chooses good or evil is of no concern. After all, life itself is law and order, so death is a desirable end. Therefore, life can only be justified as a tool by which order is combated, and in the end, it too will pass into entropy. So you're very much... So whereas Jen is chaotic and thinks that it is through individualism and self-reliance and things like that that people become good, you think that, no, everybody just needs to be free. What they choose to do with their freedom doesn't matter. Whereas Jen says, no, your freedom is for good. Right? And that's kind of the difference between your two characters. But for you, the accumulation of wealth and your ability to hold on to it and store it and stuff like that, unlike Jen, is really kind of the driving factor. I think perhaps, and we can get into Jarek in a moment, but I think perhaps what you may be running into there, Golgi, is not so much the alignment part, but the class role playing might be what you're getting caught up on.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I could see that. I agree with that.
Because
Because when as I was describing it to you, I think, well, am I complaining more about the not complaining, but am I struggling more with the class, or am I or the alignment, or is it actually the class? And as I was describing it to you, I think, well, I think actually maybe it's the class.
yeah, I think you are complaining though. You do an awful lot of complaining. So I think
Well, I do.
No.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I do do it.
But before we get
Next you're
into
gonna say I'm sarcastic.
what? No. Before we get into talking about class, though, let's talk about Jarek's alignment there. So, what are you thinking there, Teku? You're what, lawful neutral, correct?
Yeah, and that's honestly easy enough because you're looking to maintain a sort of natural balance, but more a focus on order and structure.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be set just so. Lawful or good exists within this framework. Evil exists within this framework. Jarek's just sort of wedged in the middle there.
Yeah, and I would say that just like how Catan doesn't care what people do with their freedom as long as they're free, Jarek doesn't care what the law dictates, whether it's for the good or bad. It's the law, so we follow it.
Yeah. Like, I will worship at the altar of malicious compliance. That doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. In real life and in... No.
I don't know what you're talking about. Some of my favorite arguments have started from that point.
Cool. Yeah. So alignment is one part, right? And so the other part is playing in the role of the class that your character is. Every class has a job in AD&D. And I think if we go to the magic user first, the magic user's job is to magic, right? You are definitely not a combatant.
No, and they made the magicking really easy in this game, by the way, for anyone who's not familiar with how this is all queued up.
Well,
I have been finding out.
That is the magic there is the difficulty there is the impetus for that kind of character to go adventuring and get more magic. Right? Whereas for the others, it's the getting of gold is how I get stuff. And the stuff makes me more powerful. For you, it's the getting of magic makes you more powerful. But along with the magic...
You need stuff to get the magic as it happens. Getting the magic is not enough.
Yeah.
Writing the magic down and carrying it around. Also pretty big components here.
True. The idea, though, I don't think, is that you are carrying it around. I think the inception of AD&D was that after the adventure, you retreat back to the safety of the village, and that's where your books are, so that you can memorize.
Yeah, we had discussed that. We had discussed that in the past, and it's just we haven't hit that point in the story, and that was a big point of struggle where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to go do a couple days travel along this road, and at that point, I didn't understand that I needed a book to be able to remember the thing that I wrote in the book.
Yes. Which magic works very interestingly. In addition to magicking, though, the magic user has additional roles of being kind of the guy who knows stuff, right? You have the ability to get information. So you're kind of like the intelligence officer of the party. You're able to glean information usually with your spells by using things like detect magic, or read magic, or Wizard's Eye. Wizard's Eye is a great spell, by the way. Lets you kind of like explore the dungeon by sending an invisible eye around and then come back with information. So, super useful.
Again, they've got some really interesting spells, but that also kind of factors into the difficulty to a point because you have to juggle what could be useful in that circumstance. Because you could bring a whole powerhouse collection of spells that just have no application as it happens. And then knowing when to use them specifically and how to go about using them most effectively. It's a bit of a learning curve, just in as far as the setting is concerned.
For sure it is, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, the idea is that I think the way the game is thought of is that you go into the dungeon, explore a little bit, go, oh, whoa, we got to retreat and regroup and plan how we're going to get past this part. And part of that is, okay, what spells do I need to get past this part? And you get those spells. And then you go back and you get past that part and you get to the next part and you're like, whoa, we got to stop and go back, right? And figure this out. So it's very different than later editions of D&D where it's just like, and we go into the dungeon and we're in there till we get to the end of the dungeon and then we leave the dungeon, right? And the dungeon is everything in first edition. You go in, you come out, you go in, you come out, and you get deeper and deeper and deeper. That's kind of the idea. Yeah, so the magic user's job, though, is to magic, is to kind of use magic to get information and really be that kind of intelligence guy. Whereas the thief, his job is to, to explore, right? He has a few different roles. One of them is to kind of be a bit of a kind of an advanced scout. And then to also, he's supposed to be the mapper. He can interpret maps. He can interpret other languages. When you get to 4th level, you'll get a % chance of basically being able to read anything. So, you can interpret different languages.
I see read languages on my sheet, but it's not...
you get that at 4th level.
There yet.
Yeah. Get it at 4th level. And so you're kind of the default mapper. And you're kind of the guy that kind of is deducing, where might that secret passage be? Oh, I'm going to find it, right? You're tapping the walls. You're getting into those hard to reach areas, that sort of thing. So that's kind of the role of the thief. In addition, you have...
when you were talking about, we have to go into the dungeon and then retreat and regroup, replan, and then go back into the dungeon. I think historically, and Golgotha and Teku, you can kind of back me up on this. We are not very good at deciding when is a good time to retreat.
Yeah, this is true.
I'm willing to accept that there are times that the decisions we make are objectively bad ones. But then there are times that it's like, no, this is a totally reasonable thing to sort of suspect and expect, and then all of a sudden, oops.
Yeah, especially when the dice don't work.
Well, they work.
For some people.
Other people.
Well, apparently only me, but...
It does work very badly.
Yeah. So that's...
so it's just something where, when we talk about that, where it's like we... go in and even with myself going and exploring and then kind of going back to the group, reporting back and saying, this is what I saw, this is what I found, this is where we have to go. I think that's something that our group will find very challenging.
Yeah. Your job is also as a thief to unlock locked doors, to listen at doors and report kind of what's going on the other side, which again, if you look at your skills, one of them is listening. Right?
Yeah.
Also to disarm traps, right? To detect and disarm traps. So that's kind of your role. Your role is kind of articulated for you in the skill set that you have. And so, also pilfering treasure is part of your role as well. So, when you held on to the treasure and everybody else didn't know, that's part of being a good thief, right? Especially a chaotic neutral thief, right? So, actually what hurt you was when you actually cashed in cash money to help pay for everybody else's training. That's out of character for your character, right? It doesn't follow the thief class and it doesn't follow the alignment. So, but not that it really hurts you badly. It's just an example of, this is what a good player would do, but not necessarily what the character would do. But
well, I think going forward, and maybe this is kind of looking too much into it, that there may be some metagaming as a result where it's, oh look, somebody died, you cannot let Catan go near their body because out of character, Teku, Golgotha, and DT know exactly what my plan is, whereas their characters may not know. I will point out the bold assumption that it won't be Catan's body on the floor.
So true.
I have been taken out a number of times. So
yeah,
that is a fair statement.
Yeah, Now, I think that's an example of the struggle, though, of the chaotic neutral character. People tend to think that, oh, let's play chaotic evil or chaotic neutral, I can do whatever I want. But I think the struggle of the chaotic neutral character is that when you become the team player, when you start doing things to benefit the group and you don't yourself directly benefit, that shifts you more toward lawful, right? That shifts you more toward the good of the group is better than the good of me. And so that's kind of the big struggle, because you are in a party, right? You are, and that struggle should be there. That should be the difficulty for, like, the difficulty for Jen will be to seek that individualism for everybody while still seeking the good, which good is inherently about doing what's good for other people, right? Like, so that's not the self. So it's, there's a struggle there. And for Jarek, it's really, he is going to want to pursue things for himself, right? And he's also going to want to promote the good of certain individuals rather than the good of the whole. And that tension is there as well. Same with the fact that sometimes promoting the good of the whole is actually done for good, right? You're arguing for the good as opposed to balance. So those alignment struggles are there. But let's go back to class. So we kind of understand what the magic user is for. We understand what the thief is for. Now let's talk about the ranger. So the ranger is a fighting class. He's a subclass of fighter. And the fighter's job is to engage, right? The fighter's job is to be at the forefront and to engage and take the battle to the foe, right? That is the fighter's job. And to a certain degree, that means defend those in the party that cannot fight very well, like magic users and thieves. But the ranger is a specific type of fighter. And the ranger class has additional skills that make you an excellent hunter, right? And tracker and forager. And so in addition to being a fighter, your fighter component is targeted more toward that kind of hunting and tracking. So still having that bravery, still having that, going into the fray, but you are tracking them down and hunting them down. Essentially, the ranger class was modeled after Aragorn, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So it's
a struggle. I think it's also a struggle for me because in terms of the characters I play, I like playing fighters, as you all well know. I like playing barbarians, like the ones that just mix it up, right?
Yeah.
And having a little bit more nuance is challenging.
Well, I'd say also you are a bit of a strategic player with a hefty, drinking deeply from both World of Darkness and Call of Cthulhu. In games that are very deadly, you tend towards self-preservation.
This is true too.
Yeah, and that's very strategic, which, don't get me wrong, that's very strategic, but it's not playing in the character of the brave fighter, right? Which is what the fighter is presumed to be, right? So,
yeah.
He would be the one that would say, no, I'm standing my ground and everybody else get away, right? That sort of thing. Or get behind me, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the tension. So this is what everybody has to contend with, right? Is this alignment and playing in character, which basically means playing in class. Because other games we've played, morality has been very, it got a whole system to it in World of Darkness. But playing in character or role-playing, I guess, the role-playing rewards that you get are for acting, right? They are for, did you stay in character? Did you speak as the character would speak or act only with the knowledge that the character would have? And that's a little bit different in this game.
I would note, though, that I've never had a character die in Cthulhu, so... it's worked.
No, sure. You've never had a character die yet. There's still time.
I as a person who's read the length and breadth of Lovecraft, I know that the only logical conclusion when confronting cosmic evil is to run away.
Well, can't fault that, and of course there are things. The Cthulhu mythos was actually incorporated into AD&D in Deities and Demigods, the original Deities and Demigods. Then they got sued by H.P. Lovecraft's estate holder. They also had incorporated all sorts of stuff into the original D&D, like Ents and Hobbits and things like that. They also got sued by the Tolkien family, and they had a bunch of other proprietary intellectual property that they had incorporated into things, and so were sued and had to reissue a second edition of the Fiend Folio, or not Fiend Folio, Deities and Demigods, and they don't have the various things in there from Cthulhu and whatnot. That said, I got my hands on the original of that, and it's fascinating to see the stats for Elric and for a number of Cthulhu monsters and things like that. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. So, other thoughts about the adventure and the experience of this type of game.
So there's an interesting parallel I'm finding in this game versus DT's Chronicles of Darkness game, in that it feels like, as the player playing the character, we are not main characters, and the same was true there. In DT's game, we were humans in a very non-human world, which keeps you in a lane.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the big, powerful hero because you're just not. That's not how any of that works at this point. Here, it's very much the same, and that could just be sort of a byproduct of our strange abilities to roll poorly all the time, no matter what's happening. Or it could be a wider byproduct of just the setting being what it is. Well, I don't get the sense that we are central to the larger goings-on. We have an impact, sure, but we are in no way a fulcrum to the story to come.
And I think that part of the reason why that is that this module, this adventure module under Illifarn, is designed to give new players, which is why I chose it. It's for new players, exposure to how the system works under various different circumstances. So, for example, you guys are not free to choose to do whatever the hell you want to do, which is kind of the premise of the whole game. You guys are conscripted into the militia and sent to the Lizard Marsh, where you promptly had to leave the Lizard Marsh. Then you were sent, here to go down south and explore the road, and then you came back. And then you were sent there, right, to go find the Duke's sister, right, into the hollow there. And
less important than getting revenge, we found out, but still.
Yeah. And so, you've just been sent places by NPCs, and then I think to make sure that the characters don't die, whoever wrote the module made sure that there were other NPCs that were there that had the ability to do stuff to basically make sure that you weren't the only target, right? Make sure that you were, particularly in the last adventure with, the stuff in Laughing Hollow there, your final confrontation with the Baron all of a sudden is interrupted by a bunch of goblins, and then he runs off, right? And, and it's very much like, oh, don't worry, you don't have to fight the AC0 guy. Don't worry, right? Like,
that was a pretty sharp turn. Yeah,
you guys get to see what happened and then make friends with an elf, right? And it was, it's a bit of it was definitely a heavy hand, And I think what it's done is it was trying to give exposure to a number of different things in the system and to try to set the stage so that you would also have worked your way up in experience so that you're not so fragile anymore. Which admittedly you were very fragile at the beginning, and I think that's a general flaw of first edition AD&D, is that the starting characters were just too fragile. And I think subsequent editions have addressed this. But, so I think that's why the adventure was made the way that it is. So it's not really a setting thing, and it's not really a part of the game so much as it is this particular adventure is trying to ensure that the characters that you started with make it to the point where they can go into the dungeon. And that's kind of where we are right now. And it's becoming, it's shifting you now more toward that level of autonomy of when do you want to go in? When do you want to come out? How long do you want to be down there? What are you planning to do next? How much have you mapped it? Things like that. So again, I appreciate that you've stuck it out this far, but I think we're actually going to shift into what AD&D is supposed to be as we now move into a more dungeon, right?
Which in its own way should be interesting.
Absolutely.
Count the feet we make it past the threshold before getting murdered.
Yeah.
The answer will surprise you.
We just need some sort of code word for retreat.
I'd recommend the word retreat. Yeah, the word retreat works really well. Yeah.
I would pose any word starting with either a consonant or a vowel is probably a good safe word.
That's good. Yeah.
Go with all of them just to be sure.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see you guys in the dungeon setting and working through a dungeon the way that AD&D works you through a dungeon, as opposed to how you may have encountered dungeons in 5th edition or 3rd edition or 2nd edition even. They're very much, it's very different. And you definitely have to gauge your resources. I think AD&D is exactly that. It's a resource management game. How much can you carry? How long can you last? Do I have enough light? Do I have enough water? Do I have enough food? Oh, I found the treasure, but I can only carry back this much. How much of my stuff do I want to empty out of my backpack and leave here in the dungeon so that I can fill it with gold and get out of the dungeon? Right? That's the sort of game, the decisions that you have to make. And, that's not how things typically operate in other games we've played.
Right.
So, other thoughts?
I would say that, I mean, it's like Teku said, it's nice to know where this originated from. And it gives you kind of a respect for the genre, so to speak. I'm not going to lie. It's been a bit of a slog for me, and I'm not necessarily loving every minute of it. But just like I'm not a big fan of musicals, I don't think Julie Andrews is a hack. I'm not a big fan of first edition D&D, but I see where it was lay the groundwork essentially.
And I'm willing to make allowances because we roll so poorly, and that's not necessarily a reflection of the deficiencies of the system. Like no system will be good if you consistently roll like crap.
Well,
that's not going to encapsulate.
No experience will be good. How's that? The system might be just fine, but the experience of it will be crap. Yeah. And I think, I think unfortunately that has been the fates have not been on your side, and maybe it's because, whatever decides what game we should be playing is saying, what are you guys doing? Why are you playing AD&D? Go back to Rifts, or let DT run something. But regardless, the roles have certainly influenced the experience for you guys. And it's also made it hard to actually run the game, because there's a degree of needing to have characters continue to forge their way forward, right? And if everybody's constantly making new characters, we're not actually getting anywhere. So So I can see why they wrote the adventure the way they did, but boy, is it it's a rough one. I would probably rewrite this adventure if I were to ever run it again, and just kind of make it a little bit different. But
yeah, and again, but that's part and parcel with the older setup, where you didn't have a wider collection of experiences in this gaming space to be able to say, okay, well, if you write it this way, here's probably what's going to happen. Because again, you're sort of dealing with a trailblazer situation.
Oh, for sure.
It's like, yeah, this is the story we're trying to tell. We want to demonstrate what it is we're looking for. We want to temper expectations, but we want to keep a sort of consistent difficulty level. And this is a way to do that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the best way, but as far as a first attempt or second attempt, or at least early attempt, it's not itself bad. It's just, with the benefit of hindsight, not necessarily the best.
Yeah. I mean, I think this adventure came out in 87. And again, it's probably the beginnings it's certainly the beginnings of Forgotten Realms play. So that setting now becoming the setting of Dungeons and Dragons after they fired Gary Gygax, and Greyhawk kind of dwindled from the spotlight, and they shifted it over to a new world, not one that Gary made, right? Ed Greenwood made Forgotten Realms, and he's a guy from Ontario, actually. Not too far from where your Rifts characters tromped around and invaded Coalition bases and stuff. And and it's I would say it's a very deep setting, Forgotten Realms. And there was that need to shift into that, but also it was, like you said, it was a trailblazing thing, shifting the game into this, what Ravenloft kind of introduced, and Dragonlance kind of introduced, moving it into this sort of storytelling with heroic characters. Because really, you can tell the adventure has placed you guys kind of as the heroes that are going and being sent, but you're still the heroes, right? You're still supposed to foil the evil. As opposed to, well, you're in the town of Daggerford and there's a dungeon nearby. What do you want to bring with you? Let's get into the dungeon, right? That's not really how this adventure is set up. So, yeah, it's definitely I think you're right. They didn't have stuff to look back at this point and say, oh, how do we make a good story, right? Whereas once we get into, I'd say probably one of the penultimate of storytelling games is the storyteller system, right? The World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade, that was very much focused on telling a story. But even the alternatives to D&D throughout the 80s, right? The Palladium stuff and Call of Cthulhu and stuff like that, they were more story-based. They were more character-based. And I think that was a reaction to what AD&D was. But yeah, it's fascinating. I agree with you guys that it's interesting to see where it all came from. Should we continue to be an AD&D group? I don't think so. It's not really kind of our play style. We're definitely much more character focused, I think. But it's certainly interesting. I mean, I've enjoyed digging around and going back to the beginning and seeing there's so many things now after reading through these books for AD&D that makes things into choices and decisions that I didn't understand in Palladium systems make so much more sense. I'm like, oh, that's why they do that, right? They're just presuming everybody understands AD&D or D&D, right? Basically, because that's all there was. So of course, if you're a role player, you played this stuff and we just presume you know it. So when we make our system over here, the presumption is that you understand what role-playing is, and role-playing is only defined by the experience of D&D. And I'm like,
you'll pick up on the tips of the cap and the intentional decisions and nuances and things like that were selected.
Yeah. I think one of the big examples of that is the ability check. So you roll 3d6 to generate your abilities in AD&D. And this has been carried forward into many other role-playing games, right? If you recall making your characters for Rifts, you rolled dice for your attributes. And of course, depending upon your race, sometimes you roll more or less, but regardless, you're rolling typically 3d6. And that's because 3d6 gives you a spread from 3 to 18. Which means if you roll a 20-sided die, you will always have a 19 or 20 failing if you're trying to roll under your character's ability score. And, you will, if you roll a 1 or a 2, you will always succeed because you have a 3 as a base minimum, right? So immediately that gives you a way of checking using a 20-sided die whether or not a character is able to do something with an ability, right? Just make an ability check. Roll a d20. If you roll under the ability, cool, you did it. If you roll over it, you didn't, right? And that alone was presumed to be something you would do in Palladium, but was never written anywhere that you would do that, right? It was just presumed. And it's not till I came back to AD&D, I was like, oh, that's why that is the way that it is. So it's kind of interesting.
Mm.
So, what about the story itself? I mean, it is, again, it's been heavy-handed. It is, certainly an early attempt at story-based gaming. But thoughts about the story? Thoughts about the adventure? What do you think?
I think at this point, like I said, I mean, and as you said, I mean, there's a story there, but there's not much yet. So I think we haven't really dug into it because we're just almost like in survival mode, essentially, trying to build up our characters so that they're not as squishy. And I will be honest, I barely remember much of the story that we've done at this point, simply because it's mostly okay. What do I need to get up to the next point so I don't get killed in 1 or 2 shots.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Definitely survival mode. Yeah.
I think a lot of the story up to this point has just been, as you said earlier, Magnum, where it's, okay, we need you to go to this spot and do this, and go here and do this, and go here and do this, right? Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of us choosing, hey, let's go to, let's go back to that cave and pillage that cave and bring people with us or not bring people with us. Mm-hmm. So that's something where, it hasn't really been a lot of us making the story. It's been a lot of, just what's there and us being told what to do.
Yeah, us being in the story as it moves, around us.
Yeah, very much so. I've noticed that, yeah. That should change. You'll be given a lot more freedom in the coming basically rest of this module. You've gone through probably 3/4 of the module now. I mean, it brings you to level 3, and well, here you are, right? Level 3. But it's it's definitely very much a survival. You guys have been very much in survival mode, which means you're far more focused on your characters, making choices for your characters to not die, than you are picking up information. But given that, what information have you picked up so far? And I know you may not have remembered things, and that's fine.
I mean, at this point, we have a map. We have an approximate lay of the land as far as certain political forces and groups. I mean, we know the lizard men will probably be an issue upcoming, so it's worth keeping an eye. There's different points of friction between different kingdoms and dukes and this, that, and the other. There's demons. That's kind of universally problematic for everything not demon.
Mm-hmm.
And we are still well within the shadow of Waterdeep, which creates a very specific set of circumstances to work in. Yeah, we may not have access to all of the resources that you would find in Waterdeep, but does that mean we are going to run up there at every occasion? No, absolutely not. That's not at all viable, temporally speaking.
Well, yeah, it's
So,
a good hike to get to Waterdeep from where you are.
yeah, but because Waterdeep is there, it will also naturally siphon off resources from the surrounding area. Like, it just, you'll see everything consolidated in the bigger markets.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you won't have as much here.
Yeah, like the production of everything around Daggerford. There's a chunk that goes up to Waterdeep for sale.
Oh, absolutely. And so you're dealing in not a limited resources situation in the most extreme way, but you are facing that where you won't have access to everything at all times. So that's a limiter and something to keep in mind.
Yep. Yeah.
And you do have a number of different groups and forces in play. All of these things bear consideration as we go forward. Yeah, it's one thing to say we will go into dungeon, we will get treasure, we will come back. Then what?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the bigger problem, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, there have been a number of, like, for example, the Lizard Marsh. You didn't actually get very far before you had to turn back, right?
Oh, we certainly found the Lizard Marsh, yes. And
But
that's about it.
Yeah. And, for example, the Crom's ring was never recovered,
No.
right? So there's that. You did really well when you made your trek south, and now you have a map of Mount Illifarn, the area surrounding Mount Illifarn.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That is very true.
There it is.
And maybe there are dungeons there.
No, I imagine there would be.
Maybe.
Possibly also dragons.
Take a look at the map. Just click on the picture and take a look at what the words say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Could very well be the map into a dungeon. Yeah. So you have that. And then now you've also won the favor of the king of the elves of Laughing Hollow, who, incidentally, his name is Melindrak, and he appears in the one of the early 5th edition adventures, the Dragon Queen adventures. There, the Horde of the Dragon Queen. He's in Waterdeep as part of this council. There, so it's interesting that they brought him back from this very early adventure. They made sure that he was still present in the 5th edition. So,
I'd also note that the sister of the Duke,
yeah,
is enamored with Jem. So I mean, there is that too.
Well, it's true, and I think that's kind of an interesting thing about the comeliness add-on, essentially, to 1st edition, because it wasn't in the original. It was part of the Unearthed Arcana tack-on that essentially got dropped from all subsequent editions. But it gives you this kind of way of connecting and influencing NPCs that really wasn't, and the reason probably why it got dropped is because it's really not kind of what D&D is about. But it's interesting. I think that it's interesting that this NPC is quite taken with you. And yeah, it's interesting to see where that goes. What about your thoughts about having to have hirelings and such?
I mean,
well, I can't. I was going to say I can't hire hirelings, so there's that class.
That's right. You've got a limitation.
So, yeah.
It's different than what we've dealt with overall. We have had, I guess, long-term NPCs that we've been dealing with and working with. So in that way, like, it's not totally new. But as far as, I guess, the structure of having hirelings and the responsibilities that you have to those hirelings, that's a little different, but it's manageable, I find.
Yeah, I mean, the assumption is that you get hirelings that actually, in order to survive, you hire people to come with you into the dungeon, right? And eventually you become so famous by your success that you start to attract followers, right? You can start recruiting henchmen who are more loyal than hirelings, that are there to learn from you. And henchmen become almost like another character or characters. And so that's a presumed part of the game. It presumes that you will be hiring hirelings. It presumes that you will want to get yourself a henchman, which is why the charisma attribute has a number of henchmen that you can have, right? So it's presuming that, yeah, you're the magic user, but of course you're not fighting for yourself. Of course you're not doing that. You're hiring hirelings to stand between you and the monsters. Of course you're going to get a henchman who is not a wizard necessarily. Maybe he's a fighter, or maybe he's, something else. And he's your shield grog that's there to stand between you and the horrors of the dungeon. And you are the wise wizard that does stuff. And same with, the thief. Are you going to build up for yourself a cadre of bandits that come with you into the dungeon? Or are you going to maybe hire a cleric of the god Mask, who is the god of thievery and stuff like that, to make sure that you are blessed whenever you go and try to unlock that door or something like that, right? It's a very different way of looking at things, because other games that we've played, you are totally dependent upon the other players in your party. And you don't, NPCs are there, but they're really extraneous to the party. Whereas in this game, it's you and your party join the other players and their party to go into this dungeon. You guys just haven't built up your own party yet.
Mm-hmm.
So thoughts on that? What sort of plans do you have for hirelings and henchmen? And you may not have any, but it's something that you have to think about.
Oh, it's funny too, because charisma plays a big role in it, and I'm the most charismatic character, and yet because of my class, I can't hire hirelings. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Not yet.
Right. Oh, yeah. I should say, yeah. That it does come in time, but I think what it's like 7th or 8th. Or
eighth
9th,
level. 8th level.
8th level. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be
away.
You're supposed to be that stalwart, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps kind of guy, right? Like not even more than 3 rangers are supposed to operate together. So you, you're almost like the brooding loner, right? Like that's kind of what you are by design. So for your character, yeah, it is kind of ironic that you have all the charisma and yet can't take advantage of it till 8th level. But eventually you will. But like for a magic user, I think that recruiting henchmen and because your character's fairly charismatic, isn't he?
Not exceptionally, but within an average span, I would think.
Okay.
But so I've also got the guard dog that's yet to make an appearance.
How charismatic is the guard dog?
That's a great question. I don't know that was the point of relevance, but, we'll figure it out. I might actually be more charismatic than the dog. Hang on.
Oh, I don't know. The doggos are pretty charismatic.
Well, the dog doesn't have a charisma attribute, but that's okay. What about Catan?
A charisma of 12. I don't think I'm taking any negatives. I'm just not getting any positives out of it.
Yeah, you get positives out of that with a charisma of 12, right? It should list how much you have there. You've got 5 henchmen that you can get, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good number of henchmen. But I mean, think about that.
Just a question of kind of finding them.
12 is just slightly above average. So average charisma means you can get 4 henchmen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can start looking to recruit henchmen, right? And it's probably something that you will do probably after your first foray into the dungeon, when you come back out and you're like, oh, okay, now I see what I need. I should get a few of these people. Henchmen are super useful. And hirelings are typically run by me, the game master, but henchmen are run by you, right? So, yeah. What about Catan? What's his charisma like? Are you pretty charismatic?
That's the one thing too that I find is just kind of figuring out our sheets.
Yeah.
My charisma is 14. I can have 6 henchmen as a maximum.
And you get a bonus to loyalty base too, which means they're not likely to run away, right? If you hire hirelings or you have henchmen, they have you boost their morale just because of your charisma. So that's pretty good.
Right.
That's pretty good. So you can have 6. That's a good gang of thieves. And hirelings.
The thing is that if it's a gang of thieves, well, am I going to be taking them on our adventures, and then they're going to be essentially stealing treasure that would normally be stolen by me?
Well, the whole idea of a henchman is that you sign a contract with them for a certain amount. Yeah. And if they, if you screw them or they screw you, then they leave, right? That's the idea. So if they breach the contract. So there's actually a whole system, of course, for getting a hireling. A henchman.
Yeah.
So the idea is that your henchmen you can trust, right? They are very trustworthy. They're not like hirelings. They're not mercenary. They're not just there for the money. They're there because they want to learn from you. They are a lower level whatever, and they want the experience with a successful adventurer of going on adventures. And so, certainly the thieves will want to learn from you, but the magic user that you get as a henchman, he just wants to have more experience and have the opportunity of getting more magic, like any other magic user, right? So
there's only one little wrinkle in your plan here, which is the mention of the word successful as far as successful adventurer.
There is only so much I can do. That's,
yeah.
You guys got to do your own. I roll my dice, and I seem to do okay. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
Yeah, we roll our dice. We just don't roll successfully.
They just keep rolling into the garbage for some reason.
But I think essentially when you look at, okay, well, are we going on adventures and just surviving? Right? Like that can be considered success.
True.
Right?
Getting in and getting out with some stuff is the whole idea of AD&D, which is why all of your experience, well, most of your experience, hinges upon the amount of stuff you take out. Consider the most recent Holle, right? You killed a few things. You combated some bandits and some, bees and bears, right? Those bears were not easy. They were actually worth quite a bit of experience. So you and the Baron's men and stuff like that, and goblins. So you combated a number of things, and yet, compared to the experience you got for the gold, that experience you got for combating those things was minimal. Right? Like most of your experience came from the fact that you got magic armor, that you hauled out a bunch of necklaces, that you took the gold off of these guys. That's where the most part of your experience came from, the selling of magic items and divvying it up, right? That's where most of your experience came from, was the gold. And that's what actually pushed you into the next level. So much so that Catan, you have so much excess gold that it actually isn't doing you a benefit of experience until you leveled up. So, it's not, you got lots of gold, but it didn't actually, you already hit your limit. So yeah, that's a very different thing. Go ahead.
So just to be clear, so the gold that he got in excess, he doesn't count that after he levels up?
No.
Okay, yeah.
It's only the new gold now.
Only new gold.
Yeah. So I had an additional 8,000 gold / 8,000 XP from the stuff that I stole. Right? So most of that I used so that you guys could level up as well. And now I still have one of the things but like with leveling up, it's not like I was able to level up all 1,000. I got stuck at 2501 because that was my next level.
Yeah.
So it benefited me in having the gold, but it didn't benefit me in terms of XP.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But that's the idea, is that now you need to go back into the dungeon, right? You now need to go make sure you get enough to afford the next month's rent. You need to have enough to afford all of the things that you need. Plus, you need to have enough so that you can level up again, so you can afford training. And that's
I'm not going to be paying so that the other guys can level up.
Well, I'm just saying, though, regardless, that's why everybody needs to go on adventures. That's why Jen, who can't even hold on to stuff, well, he's trying to become a better ranger. So he needs to go and have the experience of delving a dungeon and coming back out, and then using what he got from that to make himself a better ranger. Right? So that's, and of course, cover his monthly expenses. But, you know, that's this game. This game is not, not like other games. So it's kind of neat. So, yeah.
I do appreciate, I very much appreciate the patience that you've put into learning this game and putting it together and making it digestible for us.
Yep,
I guess would be the way to go about it.
Well, I'm a nerd. That's what I do.
Yeah,
but
no, there's a difference between being a nerd and being a masochist, because I tried reading through this at the same time, and I'm looking at it like, okay, this is so questionably laid out, and again, that's just a byproduct at the time. But going through the player's handbook and having to, okay, we'll jump to this page, well, look for this chart, look for this table, pick through the table, try and fully understand it. Wait, hold on, the DMG expands it a bit, but it's not really mentioned as an expanding point anywhere. It's just, oh, and now there's Latin sprinkled in with no explanation whatsoever. That's cool. Love that. Okay, a little bit of a neckbeardian explanation for what's going on over here. We're going to pick through that. And then, okay, put the fedora down, go back over, and yeah. And then you get into spells. And then, boy howdy, can you start doing some linguistic flips to try and understand that.
Well, yeah, the struggle is real, man. The struggle is real. And, you know, if you recall, I started delving into this game while we were still deep in Rifts.
Ages ago.
Yeah. And I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, just parsing the High Gygaxian, right? How Gary Gygax wrote. I'm like, who taught this man? Like, it's just so meandering and, I don't know, verbose, unnecessarily verbose, that it's just like, what is going on? So, yeah, and still parsing it out, still realizing that, oh, you actually can run away from combat without taking a hit. Oh, okay, that's, you know, like, it's just like, here's how you do it. Oh, cool, I found it. I had to just find it somewhere. But yeah, it's not easy. But when you think about it, back in 1977 and 78 and 79, when these three core rule books came out, that's kind of, I mean, there were a few other games that had spun off of the original Dungeons and Dragons, but this was, you know, this is what people had. That's what they had. And they would read it, and they would reread it, and they would, you know, there wasn't a few other games to distract them, you know, and it was just, this is where it's all, I tell you, like, reading through these books is almost arcane. I feel like I'm actually deciphering something and understanding it at a level that is, just a bizarre, I feel like I'm unlocking secrets. It's really weird. Like, it's really, really quite weird. But, I mean, and to think, you know, how light the player's handbook is compared to the Dungeon Master guy.
Yeah, but even as an experienced player, I'm picking, questions are naturally come up as you're reading, and you're like, okay, well, I should probably put a pin in what I'm reading, go try and find that, like, teasing out the specifics of equipment, and you're like, okay, well, the list here is clearly incomplete. I'm going to go check out DMG, see what I can find there. Okay, this doesn't really cover it either. All right, I'm going to have to reach out and see what other resources we're using, because this is a fairly simple question, and I really don't want to bother you with 1,000 relatively simple questions that turn out to just be entirely too much cross-reading to figure out.
Yeah, it's a cross-referencing. You're jumping between books a lot. And I mean, I'm
great.
used to that from Palladium. As further along as Palladium stuff is, it's still scattered all over the place, right? It's not all contained in one spot nicely like modern RPGs are. I mean, gosh, I think of what they did when they released the second edition of Numenera, and they bothered to, in the second edition of Numenera, because they wanted it to be completely backward compatible. Whenever another book made reference to the original game, in the margins of that page, they said, "Hey, you're looking for this reference that was originally referenced in the original edition of this game. Instead, now with the second edition, you need to go here." It's like, wow, they really that would have never happened in the early days.
I am really a big fan of the cipher system. Honestly, it's so easy to work with, and it's fun. I mean, I enjoy the games that we have when we do.
Did you catch the most recent Kickstarter?
No, which one is that?
They just now are moving into the third edition of Cipher System. It's now just called Cipher, and they're actually giving you, rather than health coming out of your stamina pool or your strength pool, whatever it is, it's now got its own track. So your stamina is just for doing stuff, or your might. That's what it is. A might pool is just for doing stuff now, and so that's I've got those coming to me in the next year when they finally get them all written and shipped. Yep, but that is a good system. I mean, Monty Cook, the guy that wrote the third edition Dungeon Master's Guide, right? He's the if role playing games have a rock star, it's Monty Cook. It's just a very, very simple system, right? Anything can be boiled down to a difficulty from 1 to 10. Cool.
When you said they were releasing the third cipher system, I'm like, how much simpler can it get? You're dividing by 3. Are they getting rid of dividing by 3?
No, that core mechanic, and what I like about it is it's completely backward compatible with everything else. Mm-hmm. That what they've done is they've just realized that, you kind of, because might was your health, you just blew through it so fast. You couldn't use it for other stuff, because if you did, well, all of a sudden you were getting rid of your hit points, essentially. So they just said, well, that's not what we wanted to have out of this, so now you have a health track. And kind of, how they had those special health statuses, right? Those are now incorporated into the health track. There's a few other little tweaks too, but ultimately it's the same game, and it's totally, completely backward compatible. But part of this new edition is they're reissuing the Strange as an add-on to the Kickstarter. So, so that's cool, because I loved the Strange. That was a great system.
It's just a lot of bookkeeping with the potentially dozens of character sheets.
Well, if you think that's a lot of bookkeeping, wait till you have, henchmen. So, you think it's hard to navigate these sheets, wait till you have 4 of them. I mean, I gave you guys mules and horses and guard dogs, so just wait till you have henchmen too. So, anyway, but that's kind of where we are right now. Any last thoughts before we tie this one up?
I mean, dice rolls excluded, I am still a little curious to hear from someone more familiar with the game and the setting to see exactly how we're doing. But,
well, that's where we make the appeal to the commenters.
But that puts us at risk of being criticized.
Yeah, but
I don't know if I'm in. No, I mean, constructively, I absolutely am willing to hear that.
Well, we're putting ourselves out there, right? And that's why to our audience, thank you for always joining us when you do. It takes a lot of gumption for us to put ourselves out to the world to watch us play these games, because we're by no means professionals at this. We're no Critical Role, but we try to do our best, and we try to have lots of fun. So I don't. For the most part, I think our watchers have been very very kind to us, especially the people in our Discord. Shout out to them, who are constantly, kind of boosting us and cheering for us. So thank you to you guys as well. Mm-hmm. But go on. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's... Again, I'm curious for feedback. We'll put it that way. Just because, again, I'm enjoying it. I don't know that I'm enjoying it as much as I could be, as compared to... I mean, you made a statement earlier. Oh, there were no other games at the time. Well, there are now. So, I mean, I'm not actively looking to be overly critical of one over the other, but like there are times where I'm trying to read it and I'm like, trying to understand this paragraph is probably harder than understanding other systems completely.
True.
So I'm going to take 5 and make coffee.
How about you there, Vahilo? Last thoughts?
I appreciate that, as we're learning it and we kind of feel like we're stumbling over it. We have some of our listeners on our Discord who, it seems like you guys are genuinely excited for when the next episode is coming out. You're kind of asking, is a new one coming out this day, that day? And if Magnum, if kind of the week that was, if Magnum didn't have a chance to do the editing for us and get it all kind of packaged for you, you seem genuinely disappointed. And even as though we're struggling over it, I appreciate that you guys are excited to hear our voices every week and hear us kind of figure this out.
Cool.
You like us. You really like us.
Well, let's not go crazy about it. But
if nothing else,
if nothing else, you're enthusiastic about it in the way that we are, and we appreciate that about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If only they could tell who's talking at any given moment.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure someone's just trolling us, and we've taken this way too far.
I'm pretty sure.
Now,
it is fucking kept me awake.
Now, we do have that 5th character, Dark Templar, who is just away. So, if you didn't miss anything, if you didn't remember...
If you thought we were all here.
Part of it, then
you didn't notice we might have the answer to our question.
Somebody else. Yeah.
I have literally been kept awake thinking about this. I've stared at the ceiling, like, what the fuck are they talking about?
No, I've reconciled myself to the fact that...
And why won't they tell us?
I've just reconciled myself to the fact that this was a one-off joke that has grown legs and is off to the races, and I'm just kind of giggling about it.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yes. Some do. Yeah.
Maybe it was Teiku just creating a burner and posting that.
Oh, could you imagine?
He would fucking do that too.
Oh, I would do that. Oh my God.
You're wishing you thought of it now.
I know. It's almost worse that I didn't, really.
Yeah. But... Good fun. Good fun. Well, I think we've exhausted our players' perspective on things for now. But, if you guys enjoyed this sort of format too, you want to hear more of it, let us know in the comments. If you are enjoying our games or not even, let us know. We've got our Discord, but even if you're on our Discord, having the comments in our YouTube feed, it just really helps boost the channel. It puts it out there for more people. People are still discovering our Rift stuff, which we'll probably get back to at some point. I know that there's some itching to try a few other things, but the Rift's adventures are not done yet. But it's really great to hear you guys hitting the like, hitting subscribe, putting the comments in there. That really puts us out there to other channel or other eyeballs and ears on the YouTube mainframe there. And but we'd love to hear from you. Visit our Discord. It's really been really cool to be able to share all of this with people who enjoy these sorts of games as much as we do. So, until our next one, I'm Magnum Pi, here with Teiku, Golgotha, and Vahilo. Dark Templar sends his best wishes to you all. We are Initiative Zero.